We used to think the girls with this evil laughter is the villainess of the story. But no, the real villainess is the one that schemes in the dark, smiles wickedly, and only cares for her own selfish needs. It gives the once pinkish shoujo genre more color and a better personality. Shoujo fans no longer want a main character with just one thing in her mind. We want more depth, more personality, something that drives the character. And it seems that revenge is the best way to achieve this. Thus, a villainess is born. Magical girls, romance, and fairy tales have all been the major showrunners of shoujo for a long time. But now they have introduced the villainess element, bringing a new spark to shoujo genre. I hate to agree with some of the people who says that shoujo is predictable, but it really is. The plot always involves a young woman meeting a young man and they inevitably fall in love, but something always stops them from getting together. Then the whole series would revolve around how they got together. Of course, that's not the only thing that makes the series good, but that's just not enough anymore. We want more than just a fairy tale ending. We need angst, drama, and a dirt surprise element that acts as the special ingredient. Shoujo fans just need something more. This leads to what we now know as the villainess trope. The villainous trope is often accompanied by the passing of the main character in their previous life. Their wish before they pass away was so strong that it imprinted its soul onto another world or another timeline. It will start like this.
ここは私の部屋。そしてこれは私？そんな前世を今思い出してしまった。こんな最低最悪のゲドウラスボスに転生するなんて。じゃあ私はこのままだと破滅する。
I'm not going to lie to you and say this is brand new or that every series is good, because that is just not possible, but I would like to recommend that you continue watching to see what I think of the villainous anime series that have been aired so far, and whether or not they are worth watching. To summarize a villainous introduction, she is someone who had gone through a bad ending, one that always leads to their doom. Now they want a better ending, one that won't lead to their demise. Their unique traits include being betrayed by the heroine character, having an ignorant prince for a fiancé, and is now on her way to find a life outside of becoming an outcast. Eventually, they do find people who are willing to help them, but this also meant the villainess had to come to terms with themselves and change who they once were. From the ignorant self they once were, they will hopefully turn into someone with more sense. Most of the times they do, and we know what we want to see most is to see these characters become more human, because it's boring to just have everything handed to you. What makes villainous characters in modern shoujo anime special is their unique motivations. They're not just your typical bad girls. Most villainesses are simply trying to survive. They want to escape their terrible fate of being exiled, killed, or worse. No one likes to be stuck in a story where you're meant to lose everything. This existential threat creates a compelling character who must rely on their smarts and cleverness to change their destiny, rather than just power or privilege. Unlike the traditional shoujo heroine who chases after love or friendship, villainesses first focus on saving themselves, which later grows into taking control of their own lives, then possibly a romance, if they survive. The villainess usually starts by just trying to avoid disaster, but her journey becomes about finding real connections and a purpose. What started out as a survival plan turns into a search for true happiness, something much more realistic than just the simple good versus evil stories in other shoujo anime. They fight against their assigned roles and try to create their own stories. This rebellion against fate resonates with audiences who crave characters with a reliable personality and complexity. And that's why these villainous stories have become such an important evolution in shoujo storytelling. They remind us that sometimes the most memorable journeys are the ones where characters must first save themselves before finding their happy ending. This being one of the first Villainess manga series to come out, I was very excited to hear that this became an anime series. The manga being only 13 chapters was pretty short, so when the anime followed the novel, I found that the series itself wasn't lacking. I do feel that it's a watch once and forget series because we saw how easily the male lead fell in love with the villainess and we saw a wedding finale, but I found it to be very enjoyable to see how our villainess navigate to the end, despite everything. I would rate this a 45 out of 100. I like the idea of having an overpowering villainess, but I also hate it, and I was hoping for a little more drama. Sadly, this was a miss for me because she was too strong and things were too easy for her. The first few episodes show that she did have to come into her powers, but even then, it seems like it came very easy, and by the end, she seemed more like an anti-hero than a villainess. This one was actually pretty fun to watch, and being one of the other first villainous anime to air, it helped that her personality is quite refreshing. Still a little airheaded, but not to the point that makes me want to throw my laptop to the ground. She's the one conquering all the hearts, but it won't be easy for her to obtain a safe ending. I hate how much I like this. The villainess acts like she's all about herself, but has some sense of justice, unlike the original heroine of the story that doesn't seem to realize the world is not just black and white. But I'm also guilty of liking that the prince being a total simp for the villainess, even though when they first met, she was a young girl and there was an age gap. I like how much of a leader she is. Because not only did she save a village, but she showed the original heroine the true meaning of justice, while also keeping a leash on the prince. The anime series is still underdeveloped as nothing really big happens in the storyline, but I felt that it wasn't that interesting after all the other villainous series. It kept showing the villainess feeling guilty for all the evil things she would one day do because she is the villainess. I get that she feels guilty, but she should also really be open to other feelings too, not just guilt. This is another fun villainous series to watch, but compared to other villainous series, we see what would happen if someone from our world interfered with the events of the game. Turns out, it is true that the villainess have trouble conveying her feelings to her crush. It helps to have narrators from the other world comment on the true thoughts on behalf of the characters so they can achieve their happy ending. And that's what made it even funnier and made the series more memorable. The villainous trope brings a whole new dimension to the once predictable shoujo genre. They're not just your typical bad girls with an evil laugh. They have layers. The reason why these characters work so well is because they break free from the boring, one-dimensional female lead we had seen 1,000 times. They scheme, they plot, they fight for their survival, and they don't apologize for wanting more than just a fairy tale ending. I really hate to admit this, but shoujo needs a shakeup. We have moved beyond just wanting to see a girl chase after a guy for 12 to 13 episodes. We need that angst, that drama, that special ingredient that makes us actually care about what happens to these characters. What started as a trend has become a whole revolution in shoujo storytelling. These villainess show us that sometimes the most interesting story isn't about finding true love. It's about saving yourself first and finding your own path along the way. And that's why the villainess character works so well. She's not waiting for anyone to save her. She's too busy rewriting her own destiny and making the shoujo genre better while she's at it.